Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose, and the Gamers Holiday continues. Last week we got that fantastic PlayStation State of Play where they revealed some major third-party games, but the crazy part here is that we're really just getting things kicked off. That's right, the Summer Game Fest takes place in just a few days on June 9th, but then we also have the Xbox Bethesda showcase on June 12th. But hang on, there's actually even more because Xbox actually has a second showcase as well. So we're going to talk about that one later in the video, and several games that might possibly be revealed here in some shape or form based off some things that we're currently hearing. Also, a very interesting and exciting Activision Blizzard game might be announced at one of these events. So yes, we do have a full video ahead of us today, and with that, let's just stop waffling and just get right into things. So to start off this video, we did get a small update on the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake once again. We did talk about this just a little bit last week as Wario64 posted online that he had heard that GameStop and Amazon stopped taking pre-orders for this game. And in GameStop's situation, they don't even really expect the game to release at all, apparently. But as I noted last week, until we actually get confirmation from Ubisoft themselves, we need to just kind of take this as a rumor and nothing more. And well, luckily we did get an official statement from Ubisoft themselves. PC Gamer reached out and they responded by saying that the remake is no longer targeting their 2023 fiscal year. In other words, this game will not release before April of 2023, and well, truthfully, I don't really look at this as a bad thing at all. You know, the thing about this game is that gamers, they weren't happy with its original reveal, claiming that the game looked like it was a PS360 game. It was just underwhelming, to say the least, and after several delays, they decided to pass this game off to a more experienced team, being Ubisoft Montreal. But I mean, this is a beloved game, and I'd rather them do it the right way rather than just trying to get it out the door simply because. I do almost feel like a lot of these AAA publishers, they're starting to learn that delays might be necessary to get the most out of their products. So I guess on one side, this isn't necessarily good news per se, but nor do I think that it's actually bad either because, well, it's still not canceled. Next up though, you remember earlier this year when there was a lot of talk about a GoldenEye 007 remaster? This actually happened like right around the time of New Year's if I'm correct, but basically it was spotted that some Rare developers had unlocked some GoldenEye achievements here recently, which, I mean, well, that was kind of strange because, well, that game was supposedly canceled years and years ago due to Nintendo owning some of the licensing. So by all means, it seemed like maybe Nintendo and Xbox had worked some things out, which they have been good partners here in recent years, so I mean, that's not really out of the realms of possibility here. And because of that, we were starting to expect that maybe there will be a soonish announcement on a GoldenEye remaster. And then, well, nothing really happened, or at least until now. GoldenEye achievements have once again been spotted, but this time directly from the Xbox website itself. And you know, the thing is that we got some very important showcases this week. Is this simply just a coincidence, or, which is what I think is more likely, and that's that a GoldenEye remaster with online multiplayer and everything will be announced sometime this week. I do think that is very possible here, though one big question will be whether or not this will be just for Xbox or if Nintendo will be involved in some shape or form. Again, Nintendo was the reason that the original Xbox remaster was canceled in the first place. So you do have to wonder if there had to be some kind of compromise here. Maybe Xbox could get something like the full-fledged remaster, while Nintendo could maybe bolster their Switch Online Plus expansion pack lineup just a little bit more. I mean, 007 was a huge Nintendo 64 game back in the day, and I'm sure that Nintendo would absolutely love to include GoldenEye in their online subscription. So I guess we'll see about all that, but nonetheless, GoldenEye might be making a return in some shape or form rather soon. Now, speaking of games that might be getting announced this week, I also know one game that won't be getting announced anytime soon, and that would be Abandoned. You know that weird PlayStation 5 game developed by Blue Box Studios that everybody kind of freaked out about last year and thought it was secretly Silent Hills or that Hideo Kojima was on this project? Yeah, well, it continues to look like that game truly doesn't actually exist. There was a big article from GameSpot posted up online this weekend, kind of revealing what people were experiencing in Blue Box's private Discord rooms and such. A lot of information from there leaked out online on how the director reacts to his fans and how he dodges questions just all the time, and it all just sounds toxic and volatile, to say the least. Now, I'm not going to waste too much time on this topic because I think that there's a very good chance that this entire game's existence is a scam. As I've actually said before on this channel, the history of the studio is shady, to say the least. And I mean, I do know that some fans out there, they still firmly believe that Kojima is behind the studio, and if he is, I'll come back on this channel and I'll say how I was wrong about this. But, however, if you do want to read the entire article over on GameSpot, I'll leave a link in the description below. But in short, it's been expressed that there is no meaningful evidence that this game exists in any real way. Yeah, I know, that's just absolutely shocking, right? I'm sure you all are just completely surprised by this just earth-shattering news here, but I guess you could say that Abandon has been, well, abandoned. Let's go and get into the really good stuff though, because as I said earlier in the video, Xbox actually announced a second June showcase. Yeah, you heard that right. The Xbox Bethesda showcase will take place on June 12th as originally planned, but then 2 days later on June 14th, they'll have an Xbox Bethesda extended showcase that will be a lengthy 90 minutes long. Now, they are claiming that they'll reveal new trailers here at the extended showcase, and that they're also going to take a deeper look into the news that came from the first showcase. And they'll, of course, be speaking to the creators of those games. So this event will be a little slower paced. Don't go in expecting game reveal after game reveal per se. This will more or less be a deeper dive into the games that they already announced at that previous showcase, or at least for the most part. But I do think that that's still very exciting because it's always a lot of fun taking a closer look at some of the most anticipated games. You know, there's some games that might be at that first event that you crave more information for, and that's where the extended showcase will come in. It also kind of allows Xbox to make that first showcase on the 12th a faster paced event where they can just pump game reveal after game reveal. You know what's kind of crazy about all this though is that somehow Xbox has already announced 2 June events before Nintendo has announced 1. What's happening here? Come on, Nintendo, let's confirm a Nintendo Direct for June. I'm really crossing my fingers here, but I digress. The big question for this Xbox showcase that everybody really wants to know is, what does Xbox have to show this year? And that's a very good question, and I think that we can try to piece together some things that we do know to maybe get a small glimpse into this event. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to talk about a few different possible announcements that could be made here based off of some observations that are happening right now. The first of which, and I'm pretty positive about this one, is that Obsidian Entertainment will indeed have a big presence at this event. Last week, as we discussed, Josh Sawyer, which is directing his own game over Obsidian, seems to be teasing something. He's rumored to be working on a smaller scale RPG that has investigative elements. I tend to immediately think about Planescape Torment and Disco Elysium based off of the very little information that we know so far. What's interesting about all this, though, is that after Josh Sawyer's kind of teased something last week, now we also have another Obsidian developer seemingly teasing something as well. This time from a concept artist, Hannah Kennedy, which posted on Twitter, "Man, it's gonna be cool when I can finally share what I've been working on the last 2 years with the eyeballs emoji." So again, yeah, I'm pretty sure that Obsidian will be at this event, though whether they show gameplay of Avowed, The Outer Worlds 2, or show this unannounced game remains to be seen. For that matter, we could possibly get multiple Obsidian announcements here, including Grounded. Another game that likely could be here, though, would be Ark 2. So this was a game that was announced as an Xbox console exclusive, though to this point we haven't really seen any gameplay or anything like that, but it seems like that's about to change. The Ark Friends Twitter account posted, "See you on June 12th for exclusive content on Ark 2. So assuming that is correct, you can just kind of go ahead and expect that big Ark 2 reveal to be here, which I'm actually very curious to see myself. I actually really got addicted to the first game when it first released on Steam years and years ago, and yeah, I kind of want to see what their take is on a sequel here. Another thing that coincidentally popped up right before the Xbox Bethesda showcase is a new Compulsion Games website. This is the studio that I always kind of refer to as a bit of a dark horse for Xbox, as I do think that they are insanely creative, and I do believe that they have a ton of potential. This is the studio behind both Contrast and We Happy Few, and I think that both of those games, they had great concepts, they have a good art design, and, in We Happy Few's case, great writing in terms of its story. Their execution, though, that's where they really need to improve. However, under the Xbox umbrella now, maybe that can change. And with that new website, could it be possible that they're set to announce their next game? Of course, this is much more speculation than anything, so don't get your hopes up too much here, but I guess we'll kind of see. Speaking of speculation though, Xbox did release a hype video this weekend, and fans have been kind of picking that video apart in the hopes of finding some teases here and there. And while interestingly enough, both Killer Instinct and Hideo Kojima popped up in this specific video, yeah, well, as you all probably know, there is a Kojima Xbox rumor going around, and then there's also a new Killer Instinct that's been rumored for quite a while, so you never really know. Of course, though, keep in mind that that's more fan speculation than anything based off of an Xbox tweet, with them basically saying Xbox over and over again. But at the same time, I mean, you really do never know because, well, Xbox, they are infamous about teasing things with things like t-shirts as an example. As for the games that I do think that are highly likely to be here, though, would be those Obsidian games as we talked about earlier, a new Forza Motorsport game, Ark 2 based off of that tweet, and then a Starfield and Redfall update. These are the ones that I think that are much more likely, but either way, exciting times are definitely upon us, and let me know in the comments below on what game you're most hoping to see at the Xbox Bethesda Showcase. Now, we do have one more topic to go over today, and that is yet another game leak. We are in the leaky season right now, after all, move aside acquisition season. But yes, we are now getting some more information as to what Wumpa League is. This is a game that we've heard about for quite a long time now. Toys for Bob, the studio behind Crash Bandicoot 4, has been working on a multiplayer game codenamed Wumpa League. So we do know that it has some type of relations to the Crash Bandicoot franchise, but up to this point, little else is actually known about what this game actually is. Well, Jez Corden from Windows Central might have actually let that slip out just a little bit early, revealing that it's a 4-player brawler style of game. So think Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as an example, but with Crash Bandicoot characters. I suppose Activision Blizzard just kind of got tired of waiting for Nintendo to include Crash and Smash, so here they'll just kind of make their own game instead. And it does actually have me rather curious. Now, I know a lot of these Smash clones, or platform fighters if you will, have not exactly been stellar to say the least. There is Rivals of Aether, which has carved its own place in the platform fighters, and there's a few other successful ones out there, but I will say that Toys for Bob has really turned out to be a great studio. I absolutely adore Crash 4, and I would probably rank that game on my all-time 3D platforming list because I really do believe that it is that good. So I'd be very interested to see how a Crash platform fighter would work developed by Toys for Bob. And because this is an Activision Blizzard game, I do wonder if maybe they'll try to bring in other Activision Blizzard IP as well. I mean, they do have a ton out there, such as Spyro the Dragon. They have Diablo. There's also Overwatch, and you know, the list just really goes on and on. For that matter, I mean, if and when Xbox completes the Activision Blizzard acquisition, well then suddenly you'd have access to all those Xbox Bethesda IP as well. I guess the dream of an Xbox platform fighter could become a reality after all, if a game like this does turn out to be successful. For the time being though, and this is always very important to keep in mind, this is only a rumor. But again, with the Summer Game Fest going on right now, we could get an announcement of this game as early as this week. Let's go and take a look at the poll of the day though, where I asked you all on what games shown at the PlayStation State of Play are you most excited for? There were a lot of games revealed here, so this might be a tough choice, but as you can see here, the winner goes to none other than Resident Evil 4 Remake with 39% of the overall votes. However, Final Fantasy XVI, that took place with 22% of the votes. Then closely behind that, Callisto Protocol getting 21%. Then we have Street Fighter VI at 12%, and then Other at 6%. So yeah, Resident Evil 4 is often viewed as an all-time great, so to see a lot of excitement for the remake, yeah, I feel like that's kind of to be expected here. We've seen Capcom just do an absolutely brilliant job remaking Resident Evil 2, and even though there was some disappointment with the third game, it was still a good remake, and I think that it looks striking visually. So yeah, the Resident Evil 4 remake is nothing short of exciting here. And then you all know me. I love the Final Fantasy franchise, and the thing about Final Fantasy 16 is that I believe it's being developed by the Final Fantasy 14 team. Now, a lot of people do view Final Fantasy 14 as some of the best that modern Final Fantasy games have to offer, especially those expansions. So to see them get a chance to work on a completely single-player game here, I do think that that will be very interesting to follow. I was really impressed that the Callisto Protocol did as well as it did in the results here, though, with it being the only new IP facing off just some absolute juggernauts of franchises. And I think that that just kind of shows you how good that gameplay trailer actually was. I mean, yeah, it's got those Dead Space vibes going on and everything, but just wow. It looks creepy, it looks intense, and yeah. It's going to be a fun time for you horror fans out there over the next year or so with games like the Resident Evil 4 remake. Then you have Alan Wake 2 that could possibly release in like the next 12 or so months, possibly Silent Hills as well, and then here with the Callisto Protocol. I think if anything though, gamers won at the PlayStation State of Play. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.